Hello, Travis with Hagie here. Today we're going to talk about the Norac UC5 system found on model year 2018 Hagie sprayers. This is the Norac Pulse Display. The Norac Pulse Display controls all things related to the Norac automatic boom height control system. To begin with, I will accept the liability notice. This is the home screen of the display. As you can see, I have all three boom sections laid out here, left, center, and right. All of them are in gray right now with an M in the middle, indicating that they are in manual mode. You can see the green M on the right-hand side. Also along the right, on the right-hand side, I have the A to put the system into automatic mode. I can also do this through the end row management button on my control handle. There's also a wrench here on the right-hand side to access any settings. In the top right corner, we can see the target height right now set at 30 inches. To begin with, we'll go into the settings. The first settings page, I have sensitivity. Right now I have my sensitivity set at 6. This value ranges from 1 to 10. Most commonly defaults to 5. A lot of times we'll see this number in the 4, 5, 6, or 7 range. Below that, I have my mode. I have 3 mode options, soil, hybrid, and crop. These are the 3 modes that I can put the Norac system into. And then below that, I have my target height. So for this example, I have it set for 30 inches above the crop canopy here in hybrid mode. Hitting the blue arrow to the right brings me further into the settings page. Here I now have 4 sub-settings menus, the wrench, the magnifying glass, the checkboxes, and then the wrench with the key. We'll go into the wrench to begin with. A couple of different options here under the wrench menu. The first one there, the wrench with the arrows going around it, that's to reset the system. So if I wanted to reset the system, I have to go through a new automatic calibration. That's where I would do that. The button in the top right corner, the cylinder with the letter A, that is where I can go in and do a hydraulic retune. This recalibrates or retunes just the hydraulic portion of the calibration. This is the one that I recommend if you're having any kind of performance issues or think the system should be reacting a little bit differently. Go in and do this hydraulic retune. Do not do an automatic calibration. The next one is my geometry test. We don't really do much with that here on the Hagie machines. The middle right button, the picture of the sensor here, that lets me get into menus associated with my individual sensor types. The bottom left, the picture of the cylinder, lets me get into different valve controls. And then the bottom right corner with the control handle picture there lets me get into different switch settings, things like that. For this example, we'll go into the sensor page. So right here in the middle of the right. As you can see, it gives me the position of all of the sensors on the boom. This is a hybrid 120-foot boom on this machine. So I do have 5 sensors in this system. You can see the left outer, left inner, right outer, right inner, and then my center sensor as well. I'll go into this left outer sensor. As you can see at the top of this page, I have the serial number of the sensor. So it says HS3 and then provides the serial number, in this case 82177. Also displayed on this page, I have the temperature reading from inside that sensor. It's 79.7 degrees Fahrenheit right now. And then I have the height reading. So this is 34.56, kind of bouncing around a little bit here as I sit here. A couple of things to note here. This is where I can go and change sensor locations. So if I needed to change around a sensor or replace a sensor, or in a troubleshooting process, I've moved a sensor from one location to the other, I would use that by tapping this drop-down box. By selecting off, then I can go in and select any unassigned sensors. This system, all the sensors are assigned, so I'll just pick the correct one there. Then the height, if I need to calibrate the height of that sensor, right now at that 34 inches, if I go out and measure from the bottom of the boom structure to the ground, that height, and it is not 34 inches, I can actually tap on that value and change it, type in whatever value I'd like to readjust that sensor so that we get the proper height values out of them. Same thing holds true for the rest of the sensors. All those pages look exactly the same as the page we just looked at. Same settings, same things. I can go in, move sensors around, adjust height readings as needed. Oops. Highlight my sensor there. All right, if I hit the back arrow, I get back to that wrench setup menu. The other one I'll look at here are the valves. So I can go in and see these valve numbers. By tapping on them, I get into my valve setup. So this shows my valve module. That's the serial number of the module that's controlling my valves. Then my output channel, in this case left up, is channel number 1. And then I have dead zone and gain. A dead zone and gain are two settings that are set during that automatic calibration or readjusted during that hydraulic retune. The dead zone is the minimum value that I have to provide that valve before I see movement. So this is something that I can adjust if, say, my system is being slow to respond in a fact that it doesn't drive the valve soon enough. So I have to send so much current to the valve before I see any movement. I can go in and change this value. When I tap on this, I get the percentage where I can change it, as well as a place where I can perform a test. So by tapping on manual here, I can actually see, if I looked out to my left-hand boom section here, that section went up 2.3 inches. 2.3 inches is what I would consider a good dead zone. That's a good amount of movement. Like to see 1 to maybe 3 inches of movement there. So I like that dead zone value at 23 for this one. Gain value. Gain value is probably most closely related to a aggressiveness factor. So how hard I drive that valve. The dead zone's the minimum amount I have to do it to get that to move, and the dead zone's more the aggressiveness. In this case, it's set to 180. We do default these values from the factory at that 180. We find that that works very, very well on these booms, and have done a lot of testing on that value. However, that can be adjusted. So if we're adding weight to the boom, so our dual product machines, we add a second set of boom plumbing out there, so we can do multiple products in a single pass. Sometimes that gain value has to be adjusted up because I need to increase that aggressiveness as well as that dead zone in that particular instance to get that boom to respond fast enough with that additional weight, that additional force that I'm required to move that boom. All the rest of my valve settings very, very similar to those in fashion. Dead zones, gains, same values there. If I back up one more time, get back to that settings menu. Inside the check boxes here, I've got a couple of different options. First one here, remote switches. Remote switches, I like to see checkmark. This one is what allows outside switch input to the system. So in this case, this is allowing use of my end row management button on the control handle to engage or disengage the system. Next one down there, return to height. Return to height is actually one that we see customers get a little confused about and have issues when they do check it. So return to height, actually what it'll do is when I put this, if I have that check marked, when I put the system into automatic mode, it will move all of my boom sections to the target height. From that point on, the center section will not move. Only the wings will adjust up and down. So this is an important one. If you'd like the center transom to continue to move after it's reached its initial set point, we have to have that unchecked. Safe mode at the bottom, not really something that we get into with Hagies. Next page here, I've got headland assist mode. Headland assist mode, it gives me a couple of different options as far as when I get into my headlands. When I hit that end row management button again, I can actually have my wings or the entire boom raise up to a set height before I come back into my pass again and resume automatic mode. Won't get into it in too much detail here. It's explained pretty well in the operator's manual, a good place to look for that one, but just an option that is available here. The last one we'll talk about here is the magnifying glass. So if I go into the magnifying glass, this is where I can get in and just kind of view some basic information. The most commonly used one here is that piece of paper with the arrow in the top right corner. So this gets in, and this will actually show all the listed devices that are on the Norac CAN bus. Also shows my firmware version. So in this case, I've got 6.0 in this machine right now. If I tap on that list, I get a drop-down list of all the components I see. So I've got my control module, my height sensors 1 through 5. Sorry, I should explain that. HS is height sensor. So I'll have 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5 for that. Next group I have are AS. AS are roll sensors. We'll talk about roll sensors in a different video on this hybrid boom, but these are the roll sensors for the system. Then the VM is the valve module. This is the module that drives the valves. And then IM is the input module. This accepts switch inputs, so it knows, the system knows when to kick out. Say, for example, I hit my center section up on my control handle. I want Norac to kick out and stop controlling at that point. That's been a brief introduction into the Norac system and the Norac pulse display. Again, I just tap that A, put it in automatic. I can see the arrows pop up as my boom readjusts and moves to the proper target height. Thanks for watching.